Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel of Bethel Evangelical Free Church Hanley. I'm Pastor Gervais Charnley. This is another Worcestershire church. This is the church of St Leonard, Ribbesford. It's just outside Bewdley. And yet you could be, Bewdley's a small market town anyway, and Ribbesford very much feels like it's in the middle of nowhere. It's notable for a number of things, one of which is the presence of 15th century wooden columns holding up, well, the old aisles. Secondly, for a wonderful Norman south doorway, because this building has its origins in the 12th century. It has been massively extended since then and much altered. But it has quite a lot of interesting features to it, including a rather fun medieval carving on the pulpit that we will come to in due course. So let's have a look around. So as usual, we start at the west end. Now there is no tower here, there is a bell tower. This is what these wooden columns are about, and it's the north aisle that famously has this 15th century wooden arcade rather than the stone arcade on the other side, which is Victorian because that aisle was badly damaged in a storm and had to be largely rebuilt. The font is over here in the north aisle near the door. Now you can see that this is very much a Victorian font. It's sort of thinking about looking like a somewhat Norman one, but not quite. Here we have an interesting alabaster panel. This is the parable of the sheep and the goats, and you can see there is the Lord Jesus in the middle, and there he is separating the sheep on his right hand from the goats on his left. We have here a medieval grave slab, what's called a floriated cross. You can see why it's a cross, but it's like a flower. There's a number of nice memorials here, nice 18th century one here to members of the Clark family. And then we go into the aisle here. You've got Richard Cheek and Mary, his wife, and again, nice bit of 18th century. There's a little bit of medieval stained glass here. We've got fragments here, obviously the royal arms, and then there is St George killing the dragon. The dragon is not all there anymore, and a couple of armorial pieces up there. And looking up here, here are some fragments of Norman carved stonework, indicating that the Norman building must have been very, very grand. But it was small, and so it's been very largely updated. And here we have these wonderful 15th century wooden arcade. And of course, the reason for using wood is wood's lighter than stone, easier to work, and easier to get often. Well, there's quite a lot of stone around here. And here we have a 17th century memorial. Just step back so you get a bit better view of it, but there we are. And this is 1626. Here under lieth buried the body of John Tyler Gent, late bailiff of Bewdley, who died the 28th day of January in the year of our Lord God 1626. We would say 1627 because the year began in March then, and not as it does now in January. And so we proceed up here. See if we can find these medieval carvings. But here we have some more medieval stone carving. There's a brass here, very, very difficult to photograph or anything like that. And we have here some. Here is the pulpit. Now the pulpit has these medieval carvings on. You can see here we've got. This is a fox preaching to geese, and of course foxes eat geese. It's really a criticism of the certainly elements of the medieval church. Normally it's a criticism of the friars. You can see he's got a goose in his hood, And it was a criticism of the way that the friars were seen as manipulating and basically fleecing the people. It's very interesting, therefore, to find this sort of satire upon the medieval church in a genuine piece of medieval ecclesiastical woodwork, because, of course, the woodcarvers themselves quite often were conspiring in this way, and that's why this sort of thing appears. But it's very interesting and very unusual. And there was some years ago a selection of C.H. Spurgeon's writings on Roman Catholicism entitled Geese in Their Hoods, and this is a genuine medieval carving of geese in their hoods. And of course, the hood, because he's wearing the habit of a friar with its hood. Here we have some Victorian glass, and Lieutenant Colonel Thomas Onslow Willington Ingram, 97th Regiment, 3rd son of the Reverend Edward Willington Ingram of Ribbesford House, killed at Lucknow in the East Indies, March 14th, 1858, when in command of his regiment at the capture of the Kaiserbar in the 42nd year of his age. The Willington Ingrams, local family, and one of them goes on to be the Bishop of London, is Arthur Willington Ingram. So here we are again, these nice arcades, and then you've got the Victorian arcade. The organ was originally, like so many, hand blown. You'd have basically a little boy would have to pump it to keep it going. But during the Second World War, 3 French officers were stationed at Ribbesford House, and as a thank you, they gave the money for the organ to be electrified. So again, more stained glass. That's like a modern stained glass window, and that is to the very last of the Willington Ingram lords of the manor. Last owners of the undivided lordship of Ribbesford, and then of course the estate is split up and sold off in the 1920s basically. And here we have some more glass. Edward Henry Willington Ingram, priest, rector of Ribbesford, 1876 to 1893, and later canon archdeacon of Hereford. Church restored under his guidance. He was therefore what they would call a squarson, that is to say a combination squire, the local big house owner, and parson, i.e. the vicar. And there we have, heading west, it's like a big building, and there's those wooden posts that support the belfry. More memorials here in the aisle, and again elegant examples, standard Victorian seating. Here we have a window of the Ascension. See, there's the figure of Christ and the disciples below, and get a good view of that window there. But that west window is a William Morris window, and a very pleasant building. Well, let's go outside and see what we can see out there. And so we start outside here at the porch, and you can see above my head the date 1633. It's painted, and of course it would have originally been painted, because the point about painting wood is very largely to protect the wood, and when it's outside, the paint means that the wood lasts longer. It doesn't decay so quickly, hopefully. And gilded, and with a bit of a blue background for the initials, because the initials are for the 2 church wardens under whom this was done, because the church wardens were responsible for this sort of work. So we'll have a look around the outside, and what we'll start with, of course, is inside the porch here. There is a magnificent Norman doorway. So here we are, this is the doorway. You can see above there is the tympanum, where we have At the bottom there is what looks like a hunting dog, then there is an archer, and he appears to be firing at, I suspect, a dragon of some kind. On the sides, you've got this wonderful carving on the capitals, and the whole thing is just a lovely example of 12th century stone carving, and then of course it's sheltered by this lovely 17th century porch, and you can see here the sides. They're very typically 17th century, and it's good that they've decided to keep it nicely painted like this, because that's what it's been like originally. Here's the West End, and you can see here the stonework, and again it's this lovely sort of patchwork effect that you get with using various dates. So you see here, and the indication would seem to be that, yeah, this is the Norman church in the middle, and they've moved the doors outwards, and you've got here this lovely 16th century, in fact, west doorway. We'll just try and process a bit up the... It's quite a interesting location. It's down in a little bit of a dip. So here we are. You can see there, this is this lovely timber framed, again 17th century I expect, belfry. You see how the stonework differs. The lower stonework is a very different type and quality from that above, and that suggests the lower stonework is the older Norman work. You can just see there, there's coins that indicate there was a corner there at one point, and so the aisle has been built on that side. These windows are very typically 15th century in terms of their tops. The tracery appears to have been renewed at some point, and absolutely that's what you do. And this is of course a place of squarsons, which is that the Winnington Ingrams had the laws of the man, and also they provided the clergy. Now this has grown since last year. Last year it was a bit more obvious that you've got these Norman columns either side here. This is of course the Norman north door, and it's largely been filled in. We saw on the inside the remains of the arch that would have gone over, but the columns are still here on the outside because the whole thing's been moved, because you've got an existing north door. It's quite nice. That's what you want to do. You don't want to just destroy it. There's a sundial. The sandstone's a bit soft, and so it's lost its actual lines and gradations indicating what the time was, but nevertheless, sundial, you can just see beyond there. That looks to me like the old remains of the old school. And quite often you find these churches, they come with there would be a school near the church, because the church provided education as well as religious instruction. They provided other instruction as well. And then it wasn't to do with the church trying to control the people. That's a sort of conspiratorial stuff that some people get into. It was a year ago, the last time I was here, because it was, so I'm recording this, the second Monday in September 2023, and the last time I was here, it was the Monday after the death of the Queen. So I guess it is a year since I was last here, and things have grown a bit, but it's still very much this very lovely old building, this nice reddish sandstone. And this of course is the, I say north door, it's not at the north door, it's the south door. This is the south side, but you go in the north side, so it feels like it should be the north door, but no, this is actually the south side. So that is St Leonard's, Ribbesford. Also here we have it, St Leonard's, Ribbesford. It's a lovely building. It's relatively easy to find, provided you know where it is. It's on the road out, and there is a sign off the road saying the Ribbesford Church. It's near Ribbesford House. That's being done up at the moment. So during the war it was used by the Free French as a base. Of course, the Free French being the French who didn't surrender, who came over to Britain, and under Charles de Gaulle continued to fight for the liberation of France. So here we are, Ribbesford, Norman church, later history, and of course, yes, the Free French in the war. So thank you for watching, and may God bless you and keep you until next time.